Welcome back, viewers at home. You're still tuned in right here on INX Prime, channel 345. Now, Mr. Selepe Madisha is an extraordinary individual whose resilience and courage have inspired countless people. Now, as a survivor of a devastating car explosion 20 years ago, he has transformed his life-altering experience into a beacon of hope and motivation for others. Despite facing numerous emotional as well as physical challenges, he emerged with a renewed sense of purpose and an unwavering commitment to sharing his story. Mr. Selepe joins me now this evening to share more on his story. Good evening and welcome to INX Prime.
Hi, good evening, and how are you doing?
Great to have you with us right here on INX Prime, Mr. Madisha. Now, before we can, get to understanding you as an individual, I think it's very important for us to, or rather from you, if you can help us describe what went through your mind immediately after the car explosion and also after realizing that you had survived.
Thanks very much for that brilliant question there. I think first thing first, obviously, that came into my mind was just to be thankful around life. The moment you come to survive from such an ordeal, an unexpected ordeal for that matter. Like I said, it was an explosion that within 10 minutes I was actually pulled out of that car, and what is when that explosion took place. So a lot really went into my mind, especially after I was told when I was in the ICU, immediately when I started talking to say this is actually what transpired. Little did I know that the way it actually transpired, it's a miraculous thing that a person would have survived that. And I happen to be very fortunate and actually very grateful for the fact that I'm still here and I can be able to share that tale with you today.
Mr. Madisha, are you able to remember your initial medical procedures and, as well as treatments that you had to undergo?
Definitely. I mean, I remember very well that there was I had to undergo about 11 operations because remember, at the end of the day, I was bent third degree. So simply meaning that some skin grafts had to take place. And for that to really heal, it really takes a bit of time. But I must say, out of all those some type of operations that one had to undergo, it was as a result of really trying to make sure that I come out there being the best version of what I wanted to be. Because the doctors will give you options. It's also up to you. Do you really want us to work out this way? Because I remember there was a time where they even asked for my photo to say, would they play a plastic surgery thing on me and stuff? And I said, no. I don't want that. I really want to go out and live with this car so that people can really ask those questions for me to be able to answer them. But I remember very well, it wasn't really a very good period that one was at because I was supposed to be there for about 18 months. As predictions made by doctors, they wouldn't know how you react as an individual. But I shocked them because I only took about 6 months. I think on the 6th month of that period, I was already back in the workplace in the banking sector for sure.
Wow, that is quite an amazing recovery journey. Now, if you can just share with us in terms of what would you say were your biggest physical challenges you faced during your recovery journey?
Look, not as much. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just a matter of being bent on the face. So just being bent on the face, then the other things that might come with this is I'm not a person that used to really wear some glasses and whatever the case may be, and I still try to refuse to wear glasses because I'm not my vision was very clear, but I think to some point it was a bit disturbed because ever since after that kind of an accident, in the evening and stuff, for me really coming across those cars, the lights and stuff like that, sometimes it's unbearable, but obviously we went through optometrist, we get the right glasses for that. So I think it's one of the other changes that I had to deal with. But the funny one about all this other chatting, which I think also added to the number of operations, was the size of my mouth. I mean, I don't know what the doctors thought at the time. I mean, you can only imagine. At some stage, I said to the doc, so are you saying to me now when people are celebrating, we've got some bribe wars and stuff like that?
Mr. Madisha, are you still with us? I think connectivity on Mr. Madisha's end is just struggling because we're just struggling to get audio from him. Mr. Madisha, are you still with us?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Apologies about that. I'm sure it was the network. And I believe earlier on We were just sharing in terms of your healing process at the hospital. But I want to ask this question because we all know, when it comes to the adversity that you were faced with, it's more of the attention was placed on making sure that you were okay, making sure that you were be able to use some of your facial features, be it your eyes, your mouth, your nose, amongst other features. I think one thing for sure that a lot of times we don't really talk about the emotional as well as the psychological challenges that you probably had to encounter. And I'd like for you to take us through that. How did you become this individual who literally is a beacon of hope when it comes to all things surviving adversity?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question again, and apologies for the for the inconvenience earlier on there. Yeah, so as I was saying to you, the issue of emotional support obviously is quite very key, and it will obviously start from your immediate family in most cases. So I happen to really get that kind of a support from a number of angles. I mean, at the point I've got colleagues that really rallied in numbers just to come and say, you know what, this will actually get better and stuff and all of that. But I think the most important thing is if you talk to the people that have been through nearly the same ordeal, you actually get the sense of healing quite very quickly. So in my case, I've never really came across those that have went through the bends before, but I happened to really build up and connect people and say, if you are coming to talk to us, in this case, and I'm not saying it's bad to have people being psychologists and stuff and so on, but if you come across the likes of Selepe, whose mind is already made up, it's already accepted, and has already told himself that it is what it is, I'm prepared to face life the way I am and stuff. The rest of the information that will be coming from their end is just additional pointers for me to really try and encourage me back into that space. So the most important thing that I think came out from the whole entire thing is it's really being rallied by the people that will continue to support you in that particular case, especially with your emotions.
Now, Mr. Madisha, I believe that, it is a winter season, and I think many campaigns and efforts are all about sharing awareness to avoid, fires and, people from just getting hurt. I would like to understand from you, what does your fire prevention awareness campaign look like?
Yes, thanks very much for that. Even earlier on, we had a very successful one there. So what we normally will do is we will talk about this thing, like whether we talk through it on media basis, but in most cases, I like to take up this with the learners at schools. So for me, the school is actually an environment where teaching and all this other stuff can really start taking place from that ground, to an extent that we go out and we partner also with those associations or departments that really are responsible for this, such as your public safety and all of those, just to back the support in terms of us really educating the kids or educating the society out there, especially when you this morning we were just fortunate to be at one of the informal settlements where we even made it door-to-door talking to people and really checking really what are the resources, what is it that these people are using. So some houses you'll find that people have got what we in our language you call it yumbaula, and some of these other people are actually using hot plates to warm themselves. Look at the danger there, using a hot plate to warm yourself, putting it on the ground, and you've got kids running around and stuff like that. Imagine if a kid was to fall on top of that particular hot plates and stuff. So there's a lot of risk hazards that were happening that we could come across. But as I said, this campaign is all about really educating people and saying, you know what, in future, instead of you really relying on the issues of like your mbaulas, your hot plates and everything that you can use to make yourself warm, why don't you revert to things simple such as blankets? I mean, everybody does have blankets. Sit, watch TV wearing those, wrapping yourself around with those blankets instead of you having an umbrella inside of a house and stuff like that. So those are some of the other things that whenever you go to these campaigns, we really do look and make sure that we educate people around such matters.
Now, Mr. Madisha, looking at your life before, your accident and now living a life as an individual who spreads nothing but, positivity as well as warmth to the many individuals who just come in contact with you, would you say that this was your calling, motivational speaking, being a keynote speaker? Would you say this was your calling?
Yeah, I'd love to agree with you on that one there because, you know what, ever since I collided into this particular accident, which was in 2004, we're marking 20 years now this year, September. And I've been working a very full-time professional job. I can tell you that, when something keeps on hitting you, whenever I came across people, and whenever I came across seeing people really living in that closet, people really not being being proud of whatever that could have happened to them. I'm not saying if you happen to be in a certain extent, it's something that you should go out and celebrate. But rather, what I'm saying is something that the sooner you let the society know about it, accept it, and so on, the better. Because ever since then, I happen to have a number of people really coming out and talking to me to say, how did you manage to cross that line? And we really, really get inspired by just hearing what you are saying and so on and so forth. And I can tell you now, there's plenty of people that today, they go out, those cars now become something that they can even brag about it and say, you know what, you did not know. I'm bent actually on my time. I'm actually bent on my leg and stuff like that. And that's the reason and the purpose of why our business does exist.
Now, what is the future looking like for you, Mr. Madisha?
Well, travel the world. What can we say? I mean, you can only tell the people here closer to you here. But I'm also hoping to become not really just well, of course, now I'm building up to becoming that national ambassador in issues, in matters of this nature. But my entire dream is to become an international ambassador for that matter, because bands, anything can happen anywhere from anyone. I'm fortunate also I do have some of the friends that I happen to share my hospital days with which I hope they're also tuning in. They're based in Nigeria and stuff like that. So it's all about this going around the globe. Bands can happen anywhere, over and above, just talking about the issues of bands. Anything unexpected and extraordinary can happen to anyone at any given time. And I think inspiration is something that the world needs in today's time.
Now, for viewers who are actually tuning into our conversation, probably missed the first part, what would you like to, for our viewers to take away from our conversation, be it of your journey, be it of what you do, and be it the many things you aspire to do in the future?
Well, the message I think that people should actually take is you really need to know yourself. Know your strength. The earlier you get to accept the person you are. And I always preach this thing. I taught learners about it. I taught students about it. Everywhere I go, I preach this way to say people should really get to familiarize themselves with a simple formula called the SWOT analysis. It is normally talked about in academics, as I always say to the people, but try and unpack it towards your own personal life. Know what is it that you're good at, and know what is it that you are actually weak at. And it doesn't really mean when you're weak at something, you must actually just quit it. There is professional help out there. Go out. What I always say is you need to show up. Somebody who might not even be aware that you're actually a good singer. Somebody might see you sometimes at work, busy making coffee there, and we're busy singing that hymn, you know what I'm saying there, being in that spiritual mode, making that coffee there. You'll never know if the person is into there. His spouse or his husband or whatever the case may be is somebody in the production industry and stuff like that. And that person can connect you and take you and you outshow and go out and live up to that talent. You know what I'm saying there? So the key message that I want people to take home is do accept the kind of a person that you are. Go out there, show out, because you'll never know. Sharing your story might be an inspiration to the next person.
Now, I liked earlier on you spoke about that you were visiting, the little ones, and you guys were spreading information and awareness on, keeping safe, especially in this winter season. Now, there's one thing where you accept yourself and you're comfortable with yourself. Then there's another where you go out to the world and the world's not really quite receptive of you. And I think with the little ones, that's where the bullying comes in. What would be your words of encouraging that learner or that little girl or that little boy who's being bullied to them because of maybe the burns that they suffered, be it on their arm, on their face, anywhere on their body?
Thanks very much for that. I think now talking about the young ones as well, it's high time we don't keep things I always tell them not to keep things to themselves. Because as a young one, you might find that somebody is busy laughing at you because you are bent, your eye is bent, as an example. And only as a result have got only one eye. And they start making a mockery out of you and stuff like that. So I always say to these young ones, it is what it is. If they're busy telling you like that, you've got reporting channels. If you are in a school environment, let the teachers, let the parents, let everybody really get to know that is the kind of treatment that you are getting back from your friends and whatever the people that you are associating with. But I think also most important is for them to really start really having that confidence. Confidence is very, very key. Know that is something that, you know what, whether I've got one eye, whatever the case may be, people are making jokes out of me and stuff like that. This is who I am, and I'm going to live up the person that I am, and I'll make sure that I stand my way and clearly demonstrate that confidence in terms of how you navigate your life going forward,
Mr. Madisha, thank you so much, for connecting and reconnecting with us, just to, give us your pearls of wisdom when it comes to, being confident, as well as looking beyond whatever ordeal or adversity life threw your way. Thank you so much for, joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for your time, and yeah, I really do appreciate.
Viewers at home, that was Mr. Selepe Madisha, who is a keynote speaker, was sharing in his journey where it took him about 18 months to heal in hospital. And now you would swear that if it wasn't for his face, you wouldn't really say this is an individual who suffered such an ordeal, because the way he talks about his, incident, and the way he just, spreads nothing but positivity and, inspires individuals to, look beyond that. But viewers at home, that's where we close it off for now. Let's head over to an ad break. See you when we come back.